notice a different pattern since I changed the chord. How cool is that? It's far away from the complete song, just the bare bone thing without kind of any embellishments. But I did it pretty fast, and this is super cool, I think. In this tutorial, I want to show you the new factory bank for the Blow-Up guitar mode, which comes with version 2.8.5. And first of all, if you're new to Blow-Up and don't know what's the guitar mode, check my previous videos, and there is a video called Blow-Up 2.7.0 Christmas Update, where this guitar mode was introduced. It's basically another mode of the arpeggiation in Blow-Up, where it acts like a guitar strumming and picking pattern sequencer. And there, in that video, I explain the basics, so I won't repeat it here. I will show the factory bank, and actually one of the reasons why I'm making this video, because I spent tremendous amount of time on this, like tens of hours, programming all these patterns and refining that patterns that I already had in this previous version. I adjusted the dynamics to make it more realistic, and I added lots of new patterns, rearranged things. So it really took me a huge amount of time. I watched countless tutorials on YouTube on how to do picking and strumming patterns on guitar and explaining various techniques. And although I'm not currently a guitar player, I played both acoustic and electric guitar in my teenage years. So although my fingers don't remember everything right now, but I remember all the stuff, so I can relate to these tutorials and understand how a real player should play guitar. So hopefully I did a decent job on creating these various patterns. And if we look here at the programs we have, I kind of try to categorize them. So you see in the name, it's acoustic guitar, or it's kind of acoustic guitar for the pop music, basic strumming patterns, picking patterns, bossa nova, various styles, clean guitar patterns, thin clean guitar, I mean it's played on the high pitch strings like from 1 to 3. Other stuff like rhythm guitar, again it's mostly clean guitar, some reggae stuff I already showed in the previous video, some funk stuff. This was probably the hardest one because it uses a lot of chuck strumming. I'll explain some tricks you can do with Blow-Up to do this chuck strumming to make it sound better. Some even rock guitar riffs. You need the distortion kind of guitar sound for this, with the real distortion effects. And that's it. Yeah, 128 patterns. My setup here, I will use with all the patterns, almost all of them. I have this basic drum pattern, very basic. 4 on the floor, 8 notes. Then I have this simple melodic bass. Yeah, and one nice trick, I have force to scale and scale both set to detect from chord. So this scale step +4 always gives me like the 5th step of my chord kind of thing. So if you play, for example, C major, it will give G key for this. We see here. So yeah, it works with respect to scale. This is our bass, and main thing we will explore today is this Blow-Up for the guitar. And this is the first pattern we have, and first of all I'm using Virtual Sound Canvas by Roland. Extremely enjoying this plugin, although it's pretty old and it will never be updated, as you know. But I enjoyed it so much, so I got real Sound Canvas 88 Pro, ordered one from Japan. and even had to repair it, replace the buttons. But anyway, we have Virtual Sound Canvas here. We are using my favorite program called Steel Guitar 2. It works best for the acoustic strumming pattern because it has just right dynamics. The sound, as you hear, is it's not over decorated like it sometimes happens in sampled guitar libraries. And most importantly, on high velocities, you can see this little fret ringing. And that's why we can have just right dynamics. But now let's go into the patterns. This first one, ballad, 90 BPM. By the way, there is always recommended BPM in the name for the pattern. It doesn't force you to use that particular BPM. It gives you the idea of the range in which it will work well. It may vary, like, let's try for example. Here it feels kind of slow. A real guitar player can play that, but it kind of feels slow. And if we crank it up to somewhere 120, becomes a bit too fast for the real guitar player. So somewhere from 80, yeah, it sounds okay, to 110 probably. So somewhere, so yeah, this BPM will just give you the idea of which BPM range this sound will work in. And this ballad one, by the way, it's Wonderwall by Oasis. Won't play it here, but yeah. I don't remember the exact chord, so we'll move on. Another pattern. And this is my favorite one. In the previous Factory Bank, it was called Ballad 3, and I use it to play demo songs in that previous video, Blow Up Christmas Update 270. Like it was a short cover from Roxette, It Must Have Been Love, and Tasmin Archer, Sleeping Satellite, these two songs. And it works with countless songs. Probably this is one of the most common guitar strumming pattern. And this velocity dynamics control here will help a lot if you, especially using it kind of in live play. It emphasizes certain velocities. Again, you can find the information in the manual, but basically it will emphasize velocities around this base velocity value. And let's move on. This next pattern is kind of the embellished version of the same pattern. It's just a bit more dense. Again, back to 3/8. And 3B, it's just a bit more dense. And one more thing, when I have variations of the same basic pattern, I kind of name them with letters, like 1A and 1B is variations of the same pattern. Ballad 1, Ballad 2, Ballad 3A, 3B, and let's move on. Another pattern. Some of them were not modeled after the particular songs, but I might do this kind of unconsciously. So yeah, if you recognize some songs behind these patterns, let me know in the comments. It will be interesting to discover that. Another pattern. Like maybe not exactly for ballads, but I wanted to keep it a bit consistent with the previous bank that I made. So let's move on. Acoustic guitar basics. These are very basic kind of strumming patterns. Very simple. And now we have a first pop song we can try to play here. It's Venus by Shocking Blue. We need to go to 125 BPM. The verse goes like this: EM and A chords. EM, A. This is how our verse goes. And then in the chorus we have AM, D, C, and B7. Okay. Yeah, so here we go. Here we go. Let's try the same with the drums and bass. I hope it will work. So yeah, by the way, forgot to mention the intro guitar pattern for this song. You can use this acoustic guitar bridge 1, and there's some tricky chord like B7 sus4. Let me remember how to take it. So this is B7, not this. B7, B7, and this. Yeah, B7 sus4, like this. And after that, we go with our basic pattern. Yeah, let's move on. Variations of the same kind of basic strumming patterns. Kind of without the mutes. All open strings. Another simple pattern. And again, we can try any of these patterns with our bass and drums. Yeah. Don't know which song is that and which will fit, so yeah, let me know in the comments if you kind of feel like certain song fits some of these patterns. This is another pattern. It's for triplets. If you see this 3, it means triplets. And you have to kind of use this triplet notes, and this one we should bring down the BPM to make it work. Yeah, like this. And you see it's triplets, so our kind of count goes like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, not like the common 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and like guitar players often count. Again, triplets like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we need kind of to adjust our drums to that, so I won't do this right now, just to save time. Variations of the same stuff with triplets. Again, this is regular pattern, not triplets, and bringing up the tempo. And this is basic and pop. It's kind of vague distinction between them. Like I modeled this probably after some songs and not all of them again, just various patterns I could come up with, and some of them are really modeled after some famous pop songs. Yeah, we'll check some of that. And yeah, now we'll try to play another song. Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver. Let me check the chords. It goes like G, E, M, D, C, G. Okay. And this pattern, 24, acoustic guitar pop to B. I'll play just the beginning. Maybe I wasn't quite right on the vocals line, but you get the idea. Let's move further. Variations, variations. And as you see here, we have this chuck down and chuck up step types. Again, I explained that in that previous video about the Blue Arc Christmas update, but this basically creates a short sound. It's when the guitar player kind of strums with the muted strings. And I'll later explain one technique how to make it sound better with Blue Arc and multi-timbral synth. And now let's move further. We have pattern number 29, acoustic guitar pop 6B. And here we're gonna try another song, Take a Chance on Me. We need to move our tempo up to 115 BPM. Well, doesn't quite fit this song, but it will work here, so let's try. It's in C major. So you get the idea. Sorry for my mistakes. Let's move on. Bring down tempo a little bit. Variations of the same stuff. Like fast strumming pattern might be used like a bridge or kind of place in the song where you need kind of this emphasis. It's triplets again. To show it, we need to bring down the tempo. again triplets, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Our counting goes like this. Back to normal 4x4 stuff. Oh yeah, we entered picking patterns. These are mostly for the acoustic guitar, again, but some will work with the electric, so I didn't state explicitly either it's for acoustic or for the electric. And starting with a very simple pattern, it uses just 2 strings. Here on the 1 string lane you see it's programmed like this. And gradually kind of increasing the complexity of these patterns. Again, may try with the drums. This bass doesn't work quite well here, so yeah, let's listen just to the guitar. Variations, variations. And just a quick tip, this root and fifth, it kind of dynamically detects which is lowest note of the chord, and for the guitar it's mostly the root note of our chord. For D it's string 4, number 4. For AM it's string number 5. It has this built-in algorithm which detects that. And we have variations of the picking patterns. This is kind of slower picking pattern. This picking pattern kind of will work for the ballads mostly, for the slower BPM like this. Like this. Slight variation of the same pattern. We have root note here on step 4 instead of string 3. Yeah. Another slight variation. Another variation. Oh yeah. This is kind of another picking style when we basically pick multiple strings at certain steps, like you see here, it's strings 1 to 3, and some steps are just bass notes, bass strings. And what we can do with this picking style, we can try to replicate bluegrass music to some extent. I am not into this kind of music at all, but it was interesting for me to check if I can kind of get close, get something musical out of Blue Arp here. So let me load another project where I have things pre-configured just to save some time. And what we see here, I have this guitar picking pattern. I have this kind of simple bass, alternating between the root and the fifth, using the same detect from chord technique and force to scale. Drums, very basic drums. And the important thing is I have this kind of arpeggio on the right hand. Because, you know, in bluegrass they use banjo a lot and it gives this kind of sharp sound. And here in Sound Canvas, I didn't found any banjo, but I found mandolin. I kind of know SHIT, so to speak, about their difference, but mandolin sounds a bit like banjo, so I used it here instead. And let's check what we'll get if we play it together at 115 BPM. So I think not bad, not bad. And let's move on. Let's get back to our main project. Variations 5B. Another picking pattern. Let's make it a bit slower. We'll also work with bluegrass, this kind of picking pattern. This is a special one. This is a special one. Will you recognize it? Hotel California by Eagles. And let me open another project where I have things for this particular song. So I have this pre-made project where I have several patterns assigned to chains. This is chain number 2 and it's linked to this knob. When I rotate the knob, my chain changes. This is for the chorus. The chain number 4 isn't used here. And then I have on chain number 2 this kind of muted guitar chucks. And then my bass is very basic. Not exactly maybe from that track, but it works here. And again, a very basic drums. It's hi-hats in the intro, and then in the verse we have this basic pattern going. And now let's try to play not the whole thing, but at least part of it. So I switch the chorus and I have another strumming pattern. Hard to speak and play for me at the same time. Back to the verse. Yeah, so it's such a good feeling that now it's with this guitar mode, it blew up opens up to such a huge variety of different songs that have guitar. Let's go back to our main project. Oh yeah, this is an easy one. It's Yesterday by the Beatles. I showed it in the previous tutorial, and the important thing here is you'd better have restart on key for this particular track. So each time you press a new chord, the pattern will start from the beginning. So we can emphasize kind of each new chord works better. And now we're back to beat 0. Again, it's triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Variations. Kind of rhythm with triplets. I don't remember this song I made this one for, but we'll just skip it because it requires complex chords. Again, it's triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Another rhythm with triplets. This is Bossa Nova. 70 BPM. Again, I won't set up my drums and bass for this. Show you one thing. So we have C major. Nylon guitar works pretty decent here, and it doesn't work in other strumming patterns. Oh, sorry, not this one. We'll check in other patterns. Yeah. Let's move on. This is the interesting one. And this means distortion, so we need to switch kind of to distortion guitar to make it work. And in Sound Canvas, I like this TC Clean FF, this clean guitar sound. And to add some crunch, some not exactly distortion, but maybe overdrive here. It has this EFX feature, but I think you can relate it to your synth. It's kind of additional effects unit. And you configure it here in the effects tab. We choose EFX type, and in our case it's Guitar Multi number 2, compression, overdrive, EQ, and a chorus flanger. Goes like this, and all the settings are here, and we have some overdrive. Won't explain it in detail, just you see it's compression, overdrive, EQ, and chorus flanger. And we already hear this crunch. This second track we'll touch it a bit later. It's for the chuck strumming, but we don't have chuck strumming here, so we don't need it right now. And try to guess the song. We need 82 BPM here. I was really happy how this one turned out. I'll play just the guitar part. get it? If you don't, let me move to another project where I have things to play that particular track. Let me show you. I already have the main chords, and I will just play melody over the top. So I think now you get it. It's Zombie by Cranberries. I didn't recreate the whole song, but it's possible. So yeah, you may let me know in the comments which particular track you want me to recreate and make the full tutorial for, because here I'll just make stubs, very short stubs for various tracks. The idea is just to show you what's possible. Let's move further. Now we have this kind of distorted guitar sound with crunch. There I have transpose plus 2 semitones. This will work for the chorus for the same track. Like you see here, we have most of the steps are hitting just the two lower strings, and sometimes we're hitting 3 strings to hear the chord. Yeah, variations. And we need to crank up the BPM so it will work better. This is the interesting one. Again, let me know what track does it remind you. Modeled after some real track, but it's not the perfect replica, so to speak. And we're moving in the next category, clean guitar. Thin clean guitar. It means that it uses mostly the high-pitched strings, like strings from 1 to 3 or 1 to 3, 4 from the guitar. Let's turn off the E effects, so no distortion, just the clean guitar sound. Bring up the tempo. Let's try it with the drums. Yeah, works pretty well with these drums. And here probably it's a good place to explain about this chuck strumming and which kind of trick you can use to make it sound better. Now these chuck strum steps, they use the same guitar sound. They are making just a very short notes. I don't remember exactly, it's like 50 milliseconds, so it's really short. And to make it work better, What you have to do is this Chuck mode. You switch it to channel and value to something different from the main channel we're using. So this blue ARP sends notes to MIDI channel number 1, and we're playing basically this part number 1 clean guitar on the sound canvas. And the Chuck up and down steps will now go to MIDI channel number 2. And to prove that, let's mute this first part, and we should hear just the second one with the Chuck steps. Let's put it to latch, and we already have one trick here, as you see. It has kind of reduced cutoff. We may also bring up resonance a little bit. And increase the release a little bit to get this kind of muted kind of sound where we have some muffled release. The sound doesn't stop abruptly. Yeah. So this is our Chuck sound. And if we bring back part 1, probably too much. Or the resonance doesn't. The difference doesn't have to be huge, so the subtle difference is pretty enough here. Again, if we go back, this is playing Chuck steps with the same sound, and this is our muffled sound. You may this is our muffled sound. So again, playing with the same sound, and we can even try to make it a bit louder. This way. So since we muffled it a little bit, we have to make it a bit louder so the overall balance feels right. And now let's move on. It should be configured per program. So for each program you have to set it manually, and it's not in the factory bank because you won't have it by default, and the programs should work basically. So this is kind of extra embellishment. You have to do it manually. You have multi-timbral synth like this one. Let's move on. Various clean guitar patterns. And you see strings 1, 2, 3 here. You may experiment with these patterns and change chord voicing to full. And you see it becomes like much more bass in the sound because now we are hitting all the strings, and we have this EM chord where all the strings are used. Not so much with the AM, and a very little difference with the D, because D uses just 4 strings and we are getting only 1 extra string if we compare to the default mode where it has just 3 strings. Here we have 4 strings. Again, if we go to full, we have all the strings, and now just 4 strings. Playing various patterns. Again, we have Chuck strum steps here, and we can repeat the same trick with channel number 2. We should try to bring up distortion just on the Chuck strumming channel. No, it doesn't work well here. So this way it works better. Maybe if you have kind of a separate muted guitar sound, it will work for you. For me, it didn't work quite well. I tried. I can show you. So here we have kind of muted guitar. It doesn't sound natural. It's like two different guitars like mixed together. So yeah, basically using the same sound. Maybe a little bit of resonance like this works best. At least the best I could get out of this synth. And it's not the fanciest one by the today's means, but yeah, it has pretty good palette of sounds. Let's move further. Variations. Like here we have chuck strums. We have gaps in our sound, like pauses. And here it's all continuous. It's no muting. This one I already showed in some of the previous videos. We need to crank up the tempo. It's Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits. Let's turn on our chuck strumming and turn on the distortion overdrive we have on the EFX. Also restarting key. Not sure it will work with this bass. Bass doesn't exactly fit here, but the nice thing is in that previous video I tried to get a decent distorted guitar sound from this plugin and I couldn't. And later I dig deeper into the EFX and finally I could get something decent out of it. Still, it's not close to my Motif XS Rack, which has probably the best guitar I heard from the hardware synth, especially kind of electric guitars, distorted guitars. But yeah, here you can get something decent. You use EFX as well. And we'll move further. Let's bring down the tempo to 120. Rhythm guitar. And it will work, I think, both with clean. Probably too much overdrive we have here, but if we have just a little amount of drive, it will work nice. It kind of has some mutual territory with the funk, so I wasn't sure which to put into the funk and which just the rhythm guitar, but yeah, again, it will work with the various songs. Like if we play it with the drums and bass. Faster strumming, and you see it kind of feels too fast for this tempo, so let's bring it down, because here we see the recommended is 90, and now it feels much more in place. Yeah, Yeah, pretty groovy pattern and really simple. Again, let's bring up our Chuck strumming on channel 2. Probably it's too loud. Yeah, let's move on. Again, triplets we have here. Again, another triplets. Oh, reggae stuff. Very simple pattern, but it's kind of the bare bone pattern for the reggae stuff. It won't work. We need swingy rhythm, I think. Yeah. It's triplets. Sorry, it's triplets. Yeah, so I need to change my drum, so I won't do this right now. Another triplet. I showed this rhythm in my previous tutorial. A pretty nice one. But we have kind of straight reggae here for the 16th notes. Let's make it a bit faster. Already not bad, isn't it? Let's add drums and bass. This bass works just fine here. Yeah, here we go with reggae. And now we are moving into funk territory. Here we need again a bit of overdrive, but maybe not that much. Let's adjust that. So let's latch the ARP and go to our effect settings, and here drive level. Yeah, maybe something like this. Not too much. Again, let's check. Without the FX and with some drive. And we need our Chuck strumming. We'll turn this on somewhere. Now let's go and check the patterns. Let's try this one. Again, let's configure our Chuck strumming on the channel number 2. Let's latch it. Let's double, yeah. And here we kind of have to have different cutoff setting. Like this. Yeah. With some resonance. Works better here. Let's change it to beat 0 as it was. Not sure it will work with our drums and bass, but let's try. Yeah, we need kind of more funky bass here, but for the sake of demonstration, I think it's okay. Variations. Again, let's bring up our... So these chuck strums become more pronounced when we play it on this part number 2 with decreased cutoff. Again with the bass and drum. I don't kind of know much funky chords, but again, for the sake of demonstration, let's check the other patterns. Again, I watched this countless of YouTube videos regarding these funk strumming patterns. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this. Again, pretty simple one, but yeah, groovy. Let's try. Let's move on. So yeah, we're entering the rock riffs. And here we need to change our overdrive to the distortion. Let me show you. We already have some distortion. So the clean pattern, clean guitar version sounds like this. Let's go into our EFX, and here we have overdrive versus distortion. Yeah, so we need distortion like this. Let's go back. Maybe increase. Increase release just a little bit. So the sound will not cut abruptly, but have this kind of muffled, muted, short tail. And let's check the project I prepared first. So this kind of rock pattern. And we have galloping bass, like from the Iron Maiden Trooper. Not exactly, but something like this. Yeah. Without the melodic stuff, just a straight note. Yeah. The drums are simple here, so I didn't write better patterns, so sorry for that. But again, for the sake of demonstration. let's go back to our main project. What else? Let's check other rock patterns. Bring up the tempo. Bring up the tempo a little bit. This one is from Metallica. Don't remember the exact track. There's something like this in one of their tracks. Yeah, let's move further. Another variation. Oh yeah, we have kind of ghost notes in between here. Let's bring up our chuck mode. And you see these chuck notes are too short, and we're gonna fix that with our synth. Let's go to part number 2. We have this chuck strumming, and increase the release time. So yeah, now it sounds better. And maybe we also need to increase the distortion level, the drive level. Yeah, like something like this. Sorry, becomes too loud. And then we decrease the level here. Something like this. And let's move further. Again, for each pattern, if we have this chuck strum channel number 2, we should set this each time. Or we can also try to increase the release time here. Let's maybe too much. Yeah, something like this. Just a long chord. There's some extra stuff in the end. I have to go back to the acoustic guitar. Steel string. And remove our effects. This is the kind of intro to the Venus by Shocking Blue. Some other kind of bridges for the acoustic guitar patterns, and the longer version of the same, like building up. And that's it. Again, it's factory bank for the blow up guitar mode in version 2.8.5. Enjoy it, thanks for watching, and have fun with blow up. See you next time.